Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode with us, the Health and Harmony Girls. It's Friday, so I think you can hear the difference. I mean, obviously, it's not Friday when you listen to this, but it's the difference in our
tone.
energy on like a Friday and a Monday. But today, we're just going to keep it short and sweet so that it's a nice little episode for you guys to listen to and refer back to. And we're just going to chat a little bit about self-belief. I think it's something that's super important to carry with you through each and every day. As we say, not every day is easy, but believing in yourself is the number one.
Number one.
Yeah, that's what we're going to speak about today.
Perfs. So basically 5 steps to fierce self-belief. Number 1 is get to know yourself by identifying your core values, drivers, and personal beliefs. I mean, we've spoken about core values countless times, and there's a whole episode that was dedicated to it. But core beliefs and core values is basically just realizing what your main values are. So whether it's honesty or authenticity or excitement or...
What episode did we actually do? Do you know what number it was?
I don't know. I'll have to go back and check or put in the show notes. Okay. But yeah, once you start to really figure out what your core beliefs and values are, it's a lot easier to believe in yourself because you know what you stand for and what you will tolerate, I guess.
Completely. I feel like if you core values, I don't know, it doesn't have a number here.
Yeah, well, it's just called determining your core values.
Yeah, it was posted in January, so that's the 26th of Jan, that episode. But I think it's super important, like we always say, if you don't know your core values, like you don't really know who you are as a person, and you don't know what you can accept and can't accept in your life. And I think core values also goes down to accepting and not accepting with your boundaries. Like if you don't know what your core values are, you don't know what you can say yes and no to in your life because you feel a little bit lost. So get to know yourself.
And boundaries is such a big thing, and that a lot of people don't really set in their lives. There's also an episode we did on boundaries.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just setting rules for how people can be around you, not that you can control them, but what you're willing to accept, the kinds of behaviors, and all of that stuff, so that you live a more happier, fulfilled life. You're not feeling like people are taking advantage of you or treating you in ways that you don't agree to be treated. So yeah, go listen to that episode.
Completely. Boundaries and core values, that's 2 ways to obviously have a little bit of more self-belief. Okay, then number 2 is to identify your limiting beliefs and stories, then rewrite them to reflect self-belief. So I think that pretty much explains itself. But identify what your limiting beliefs are. I mean, you may not know what all of them are, or you may know 1 or 2, and the minute you start writing, more come to you. But write them down. This is important to write down on a piece of paper, or like we say, if you want to use your notepad on your phone, but write down or identify your limiting beliefs and stories. You may have stories in your head that cause you to limit or believe in yourself less.
Yes.
And then rewrite those limiting beliefs or those stories to make them self-belief. So rewrite your own story, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, for those of you who aren't too sure what limiting beliefs are, it's all the beliefs that you've almost had instilled in you when you were younger, or due to circumstances in your life that you don't believe now that you can accomplish or be. So I always go back to money because it's the first thing that pops into my head. But if you grew up in a poorer upbringing, you might have beliefs that you can't make money, you can't be rich, you can't be successful. Those are limiting beliefs. So really sit down and start to think about the beliefs you have that hold you back from becoming the best version of yourself, and rewrite those into more positive, realistic, because you can achieve anything and you can do anything. Your mind is the only thing that holds you back, and that will help you to have more fierce self-belief in yourself.
I think also I like to, like you say, go back to money when it comes to limiting beliefs, but also I think love is a big thing. Like I think a lot of us, I don't know if it's especially women, but I'm saying especially women just because that's what I've been surrounded by. But a lot of women tend to say I always attract the wrong person, or I always have the wrong person in my life, or I have the worst guys and every guy does the same thing to me. But there must be something within you that makes you believe that that's what you should be accepting in your life, or that's all you deserve in your life. And sometimes it's really difficult to turn inward and to actually find out what it is that's making you feel this way. But I mean, is it that you believe this is the way you're supposed to be treated? Like, you shouldn't be treated better than that, you know? There is some sort of a limiting belief. So write down all these limiting beliefs and then rewrite them as a self-believing story. Like, you deserve to be loved. You deserve to accept the best type of love in this world. Like, every single person deserves to have the most romantic, beautiful love that they want in their lives. There's nothing saying that you can't have that unless you're limiting that for yourself.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I think a good way to pick up limiting beliefs is realizing or recognizing when it lowers your self-worth. So anything you believe that makes you feel like you're not worthy, that's probably a limiting belief.
Yes.
All right. Number 3.
You are worthy.
You are worthy. Number 3, establish deep self-acceptance by looking at the parts of yourself that you don't like and shifting your mindset. Listen, self-growth is always going to be a bumpy road and not an easy process, because you do have to look at the dark side of you. You do have to look at the things that need to be fixed, and it's not easy. Like, facing your demons, facing your fears, facing your flaws, whatever it may be, it's not going to be an easy thing. But once you actually put in the work and you do that, you're always going to come out better for it. So start to really look at the things that you don't like about yourself. Maybe do we have another vacuum cleaner going on?
I just thought it was a hairdryer, and I was like, why would Ryan be using the hairdryer?
So yeah, maybe you believe that, maybe you have a flaw where you're lazy and you like have these big dreams and goals, but you never actually put in the work to do it. You need to sit back and really like accept and not deny that you are lazy. Like, what's the word?
I'm just going to ask Belinda to vacuum in like 5 minutes.
Okay. We're back. So I think the number one step is to just like really look at your flaws, accept that you have them. And that, I think, is the hardest thing, because as much as we are our own biggest critics, we're also so stubborn in believing that we have flaws and facing them and accepting them. And once you actually accept that that is a flaw, it makes it so much easier for you to work on it and better it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to also just say that the first step towards change is always acceptance. If you don't accept that there's something not wrong, but if you don't accept that there's something missing or something that you need to work on, how the hell are you supposed to work on it? Like, you could be in complete denial that something is happening or you're acting a certain way, but the minute you accept it, that leads towards change. I mean, I'm going to use this example just because, I mean, it's examples people used to use growing up. But if you take someone with like a drug problem, for instance, or an alcohol problem, they will never be able to change unless they realize or accept that they need to make a change. Otherwise, you just keep living your life thinking you're doing everything perfectly dandy and everything is completely fine. But the minute you accept that a change needs to be made, it becomes so much easier. The first step towards change is always acceptance.
And I think it's so powerful when you learn to accept your flaws, because then no one can actually use them against you. So, I mean, I'm hella stubborn, and I know that. And now that I'm aware of it, I really try to be more conscious when I am being stubborn, to not be more stubborn. But if someone tells me I'm stubborn, I don't take offense to that, because I've accepted that that's how I am. Yes, I'm working on it. And yes, I know it's not a good trait to have, but I can't get like hurt or upset or angry when people tell me that, because I've already accepted that that's me. So it's such an empowering thing, because
completely, someone can turn around and be like, oh my God, you're so stubborn. And you can be like, I know, like,
I'm working on it. Okay?
I'm working on it. But you see with people often that are, say someone's super stubborn and you say to them, oh my gosh, you're so stubborn, you'll actually end up getting into a fight about it because they're in denial about it. So they get defensive with you. And then it becomes this argument of like, oh, I'm not like this, but you're like this. And I mean, it should not be a thing of pointing fingers, but that's what happens if you don't accept that change needs to be made.
100%.
Okay. Number 4. Okay. Change your self-talk by noticing when you're being critical and switch to compassion. So we've also spoken about this in previous podcasts. It's super important to realize that that little voice inside your brain is so much more, or does so much more damage than I think what people even realize. Sometimes it does, actually more often than not, it does more damage than what the external voices are saying, people that are in your life or people that are a part of your life, that little voice inside your head forces you to believe these things because there's no one shutting it up. It can play and play and play and go over and over and over again. And that's like, I mean, think about brainwashing. If you're sitting and you put headphones on somebody and it plays negative talk the entire time, what do you think is going to happen? That person's going to start believing that. And that's exactly what that little voice is inside your head. So of course it's difficult at first. I mean, a lot of people are so used to just being so caught up in this negative self-talk or this, like, what do you call it? Spiral. I was going to say ringlet. I'm just doing this with my hands. A spiral of like negative self-talk that it becomes really difficult to call out when you are and when you aren't. But the minute you start realizing and becoming more aware, that's the whole point, is becoming more aware. And the more and more aware you come, the easier become, not the more and more aware you come, the more and more aware that you become, the easier it will be to pick yourself up after those situations and be like, okay, Bianca, I shouldn't have said that about myself. Let me rather rephrase and say this about myself. So you need to be able to do those things. Rephrase it with compassion.
I actually did a post about this the other day, and it's so interesting because negative thinking is such a bad habit that we all have. It's an actual habit. Like, think about it. We normally tend to think negatively rather than positively. So, I mean, the steps to maybe try to overcome this is to, number one, be aware of your thoughts. Whenever negative thought pops in, then just stop it in its tracks and think about how you can turn that negative thought into a positive thought. Because we need to learn to almost rewire and reprogram our minds. So once you are more present and you pick up those thoughts, you stop and you turn it into positive, that starts to become a habit. And eventually your habit will go from negative thinking to positive thinking.
Completely.
And also, if you find yourself like in a loop of like this negative thinking, like try to distract yourself with other things that you enjoy. So go for a walk in the sunshine, go paint on a canvas, whatever brings you joy, whatever brings you happiness, go do that, because it's going to take you out of that negativity and that negative spiral that you're going to just go down if you carry on allowing these negative thoughts to stab your brain.
Completely.
Okay. And then the last one, number 5, step into your fierce self-belief by doing things that help you feel confident and badass. So, I mean, this goes back to what I just said now. Like, do the things that you enjoy. Do the things that make you feel confident, whether it's something that you're good at or something that you really enjoy. I mean, I've said in a previous podcast, I love driving around with my music at full blast, singing the words, dancing around. I don't even care who's looking at me or laughing at me. That just makes me feel amazing. And I feel like by not caring what other people think, it actually gives me more confidence, because why the hell should I let what other people think affect me?
You probably don't know any of those people
exactly.
on the road anyway.
I don't know you. I don't care what you think.
Exactly. And guys, like Rox is saying, I mean, it might not be something that you're necessarily good at. It might just be something that you enjoy doing. No one's saying that you have to be the best at it to have it make you feel like you're a badass. I mean, you may sing in your car, like Rox is talking about. You may just want to put on like a cute ass outfit and like do your hair, and it makes you feel like a badass. And it's not to say that everything is material or like you should make yourself look better to feel better, but that's what makes some people feel like a badass. Like, get up, get dressed up. I know for me, I mean, we are so used to just wearing gym clothes every single day, not wearing makeup. And we love the way that we are already. But there's days where I get dressed up and I'm like, shit, I should do this more often. Like, I'm feeling like a badass today. So find something that makes you feel like a badass, do it, and you will watch your self-acceptance and like self-fierceness.
Fierceness.
Not fairness, fierceness.
Like, we are not promoting fairness.
No, self-fierceness will grow.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that was very short and sweet. I
just want to actually, we need to read you guys a quote.
I love it.
Super cute. This is by Glennon Doyle. I have no idea who that is, so you guys will have to Google
them. You Google them.
You Google Glennon. That reminds me of you Google Coco. I can't even say it.
We're doing tongue twisters at the end of our episode.
You glow.
You glow, gang. Oh, you've got it. Me doing it as well. You go, Glen Coco.
You glow. Oh, okay.
Just say you glow, girl.
Don't you glow, girl. Okay, so this is by Glennon. That's actually, I think you should all name your children that. Glow Glennon. Okay, so The only thing that was ever wrong with me was my belief that there was something wrong with me. So like we say, what you think, you become. If you're going to believe that something's wrong with you, then something probably is wrong with you. But if you believe that everything is amazing and you are some fierce ass babes, everything is going to be amazing in your life.
Yeah. I think before we knock off, I just want to say, like, I read something the other day that says your mindset is the gateway to what you allow into your head. And I was like, damn, that's so true.
That is
like
real.
You literally, whatever you allow to go into your mind is what you allow to fester in your reality. So shut that gateway to negative things and all those bad things, and you'll be a lot happier.
Completely.
I started off so good, then I ended off on a...
Well, we knew where you were going though.
Hopefully.
Completely, guys. Block out your negative self-talk and your negative thoughts and emotions. And like we say, we know it's not easy, but it is a journey, just like everything else that we always speak about. It's not an overnight. You're not going to wake up in the morning and just be like, wow, my God, I'm a new person today. Like, you may feel like a new person, but you're not going to be able to do everything completely all the time.
It's a continuous journey and process, but it's one that's really worth it.
Completely. So, I mean, like we said, just to tie up with connection to this podcast, you can go listen to the one on boundaries, and you can go listen to the one on
core beliefs.
Yeah.
I think
core values.
Core values. And there was
Yes.
another one, but I forgot already.
Boundaries.
Oh, I thought there was another one that came.
Oh, was there 3? Anyway, we'll think about we'll re-listen to this, and if there was another one, we'll put it in the
show notes.
We always say that, but do we put it in the show notes?
I'll try to remember to do it. I'm like, no one reads the show notes.
I know. I'm like, guys, you just have to scroll through. We are still a new podcast. There's not like hundreds of things to go through. So I know that the core values one was done in January, and probably the limiting beliefs was also done.
That was done early, like one of our first.
Oh, that's what the third one was. So it's boundaries, core values, and limiting beliefs. Those are the 3.
Okay, sick.
Yes. So go and have a listen to those. And thank you so much for being here again today. Let us know if you guys prefer having super short podcasts like this, where it's like to the point, or ones that are like intermediate or long, because we've obviously got all three kinds on our podcast. We've got like over an hour, we've got like 30-ish minutes, and then we've got, I don't know how much this one is today, but we'll see.
Hopefully the shortest one.
Yeah. So give us some feedback, please, and we love you guys, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bye.